I never imagined that a single moment in an airport could break me, but that morning in Seattle airport felt like someone ripped the ground away from under my feet. I stood at the Delta counter with my suitcase beside me, ready to fly to Texas for my sister Lily's wedding. My heart was full of nervous hope. I wanted to see her walk down the aisle more than anything, but the airline agent looked up at me with calm confusion. "Ma'am, there is no ticket under the name Emily Carter. Not for today. Not for any Austin flight." The words hit me like ice water. My mind refused to believe them. I stared at the screen, waiting for my name to appear, but it stayed blank. My throat tightened. My family told me everything was arranged. My mother said it clearly. My father agreed. Lily never called me herself, but I believed she wanted me there. I stepped away from the counter slowly, my legs weak. I tried calling my mother, Margaret. She did not answer. I called my father, Henry. He declined the call instantly. That familiar burn of humiliation rose in my chest. Why would they ignore me now? Why would they leave me alone at an airport while they flew across the country? I sat on one of the benches facing the runway. Planes lifted into the sky one after another. I watched them rise while my own world sank. I felt people walking past me, but I felt invisible to everyone except my pain. A terrible question kept creeping into my mind like a cold whisper. Did my family forget me? Or did they want to leave me behind? I forced myself to breathe and quietly repeated who I was, as if reminding myself that I still existed. My name is Emily Carter. I am 28 years old. I work as a nurse in Seattle. I am emotional, I am soft-hearted, and I care too deeply for people who do not care enough for me. My family has always treated me like an extra piece in a puzzle that does not quite fit. My sister Lily is 25, sweet, talented, and loved by everyone. She was my best friend for most of our lives. But she changed over the past year. She became distant, quiet, and easily influenced by the people around her. My mother Margaret has strong opinions about everything. She praises Lily easily and criticizes me silently with her eyes. She makes decisions for the entire family, even when her choices hurt others. My father Henry is a man who avoids conflict by agreeing with whatever my mother wants. His silence feels heavier than anger. And then there is Tyler Harris, Lily's fiancé from Texas, successful, polite, charming in a way that never felt real. I always sensed something guarded in him. He watched me closely at family gatherings, like he wanted to know how much I could see. These people shaped my life. These people raised me. These people were now flying to a wedding without me. A knot formed in my stomach. I opened my phone and searched for the family group chat. I scrolled upward through old messages, hoping to find something, anything. My breath caught in my throat. I saw a short message I had never noticed before. It said, "You have been removed from this group." It was from 6 months ago. 6 months of wedding details. 6 months of planning. 6 months of photos, fittings, and celebrations. 6 months without including me. My vision blurred. A deep ache spread through my chest. This was not an accident. This was not a mistake. This was a choice. They removed me. They continued everything without me. They never added me back. I pressed my hand to my forehead, trying to stop the swirl of questions. Why would they hide everything from me? Why would Lily stay silent for so long? Why would my mother want to erase me from a moment that belonged to the whole family? What did I do that was so unforgivable? I stood up slowly. My legs felt like they carried years of weight. I grabbed my suitcase, with both hands as a cold breeze. From the automatic, airport doors brushed across my face. The wind felt sharp, but it made my heart clear. I refused to let them decide my place. I refused to stay forgotten. I refused to disappear from my own sister's life. I would go to Texas. I would go alone if I had to. I would find out what they were hiding. And I would not walk away until I understood why my family wanted me gone. As I stepped outside into the misty Seattle air, one haunting question echoed inside me, louder than the sound of any departing plane. Why did my own family work so hard to keep me away? The cold Seattle air followed me all the way into the taxi. I sat in the back seat with my suitcase beside me, holding my phone tightly as if it could explain everything. The city passed by in gray streaks. I watched the fog roll between the tall buildings, and I felt a pressure in my chest that refused to disappear. I had never felt so unsure about my own place in the world. Every mile we drove created a louder question inside me. Why did they remove me from the family chat? Why did they board the plane without checking on me? Why did my mother ignore my calls? The driver glanced at me through the mirror. Are you all right, ma'am? I swallowed hard. I am not sure. It was the most honest answer I could give. He nodded slowly as if he had heard similar pain before. He did not ask anything else, and I was grateful for the silence. My thoughts were loud enough. When we reached my apartment building, I stepped out and felt a deep heaviness in my chest. I walked up the stairs with shaky legs and unlocked my door. The moment I entered my quiet one-bedroom apartment, I began to feel the loneliness press down on me. It felt as if the walls themselves knew what happened to me. I dropped my suitcase on the floor and went straight to my laptop. If my family did not want me at the wedding, that was exactly why I needed to go. I searched for flights again. Most were full. Some were extremely expensive, but one flight early the next morning had a single seat left. It was not cheap, but I knew I had no choice. I booked it without hesitation. Something pulsed in my chest after the confirmation email arrived. It was not joy. It was not excitement. It was something sharper. It was determination mixed with fear. Why did I feel that my arrival in Texas would reveal more than I expected? Why did I sense that this wedding had a hidden truth waiting for me? I walked to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and stared at myself in the mirror. I looked tired. My brown hair was tangled from the morning rush, and my eyes looked swollen from stress. Why did they do this to me? I whispered to my reflection, but the mirror had no answers. I dried my face and moved to the living room. My phone began to vibrate suddenly. My heart jumped. For a moment, I believed it might be Lily. I ran to the couch and grabbed the phone. But the screen showed a different name. Aunt Grace. She was my mother's sister, kind, warm, always supportive. She lived in Houston and worked as a school counselor. My stomach tightened. Had she heard something? Did she call to ask where I was? I answered with trembling fingers. Hello, Aunt Grace. Her voice came through with gentle concern. Emily, are you on your way to Austin? I thought I would see you tomorrow. My chest tightened. So she believed I was invited. My family had not told her anything. They kept the secret hidden only inside our household. I tried to speak calmly. I am flying tomorrow morning. She paused. You sound upset. Did something happen? I looked at the wall, unable to form a lie. My voice cracked slightly. My ticket was never booked. I am not sure why. A heavy silence followed. Then Aunt Grace spoke again, but her tone was sharper now. Emily, that is not possible. Your mother told everyone that she booked tickets for the entire family. The entire family. Everyone. Except me. My throat tightened again. I felt tears building, but I forced them back. She did not book mine. Another pause. This one felt heavier. Emily, she said softly, I want you to know that you have every right to be at that wedding. Do not let anyone take that from you. Her words warmed something inside me. They also raised more questions. Why would my mother lie to others about booking my ticket? Why would she tell my aunt one thing and do something else entirely? What was she hiding? After the call ended, I sat on the couch for a long moment. My heart was beating too fast, almost painful. I stared at the dark window and watched my reflection. Fear mixed with confusion. The betrayal felt deeper than before. It felt planned. My phone buzzed again and I jumped slightly. It was a text message. I hoped it was Lily. My heart tugged with desperate hope. But it was Tyler. His message was short and cold. I hope you are not causing stress for Lily. She needs peace before the wedding. My stomach twisted. Why would he send this? How did he even know I was upset? Did my mother tell him? Did he want to keep me away? Why would he contact me before my own sister? I typed back slowly, my hands shaking. Why would you think I am causing stress? He replied within seconds. Your mother said you were confused. I expect you to behave when you arrive. Behave. The word felt like a slap. A stranger telling me how to act at my own sister's wedding. I stared at the phone with disbelief. Why was Tyler so involved in my family's decisions? Why did he sound like he was warning me? Why did he think he had any authority over me? He sent another message. Do not worry about anything. Everything will be fine if you respect boundaries. Boundaries? Which boundaries? What did he want to hide? I closed the chat before anger swallowed me whole. Something felt wrong. Something felt very wrong. It was no longer just about a forgotten ticket. It was about control, secrets, manipulation, and something told me Tyler had a bigger part in it than I understood. The night moved slowly as I packed again. I folded my dresses carefully. I placed my shoes in separate bags. I packed my sister's gift, a silver bracelet that matched one I owned. We bought them together when we were teenagers. I wondered if she still remembered that promise we made to each other that day, the promise that we would never let anyone break our bond. As I zipped my suitcase, a cold fear wrapped around my spine. What if someone already broke it? What if Lily pushed me away because someone told her to? What if she believed something about me that was not true? I turned off the lights, lay on my bed, and stared at the ceiling. My mind refused to rest. My heart refused to calm down. Every breath felt tight, and every thought added another layer of dread. I wondered what would happen when I arrived in Texas. Would they act surprised? Would they act annoyed? Would Lily run to hug me, or would she look away? I closed my eyes, but the last thought that stayed with me was the most painful. Why did it feel like my family was hiding something from me? The taxi ride to the airport the next morning felt heavier than any flight I had ever taken. My suitcase was packed with every essential and every precaution. I kept checking my boarding pass as if seeing it over and over could make this trip feel real. It was not just a plane ride to Texas. It was a journey into the heart of betrayal, into the center of every secret my family seemed determined to keep from me. As the driver sped past the familiar streets of Seattle, I tried to calm my racing mind. But every memory of my family's indifference replayed like a broken film. My mother's quiet favoritism, my father's silence, Lily's sudden distance, and Tyler's cold messages all formed a puzzle I did not yet understand. And I realized the first step to uncovering it was to get there. At the airport, the line for security was long. People moved around me in a blur, speaking loudly, rushing to gates, unaware of the storm inside me. I held my ID tightly, my knuckles white, and I whispered to myself, I will not let them erase me. I will not stay invisible. Once on the plane, I watched Seattle shrink beneath the clouds. My thoughts kept returning to Lily. How would she react when she saw me? Would she hug me like before? Or would she follow the orders of others and act distant? I did not know, and the unknown made the fear inside me worse. Hours passed. I stared out the window as the land changed from gray skies and evergreen forest to the warm brown and green plains of Texas. My phone buzzed with messages from work and reminders to call back patients, but I ignored them. Everything I had known in Seattle felt like it belonged to a different life. The life I was stepping into now belonged entirely to my family and their secrets. When the plane landed in Austin, I felt a sudden rush of anxiety. My suitcase rolled over the tile of the airport as I moved through the crowd. I tried calling Lily, but her phone went straight to voicemail. My chest tightened. She did not know I was coming yet. Or maybe she did, and she was choosing silence. The thought made my stomach twist. I hailed a cab and told the driver the address my mother had given me years ago for Lily's wedding. The city passed quickly, tall modern buildings, the long bridges crossing the Colorado River, and the bright sunlight that made the Texas heat feel harsh against my skin. I pressed my face to the window, trying to see if I could spot any sign of the wedding, any movement of my family preparing for the day, any hint that they were waiting for me or waiting to stop me. The cab stopped at a large house with white pillars and a sprawling lawn. The kind of house that could belong to Tyler's wealthy family. I felt my stomach tighten further. This was where they were gathering. This was where I was supposed to be invisible. I paid the driver and took a deep breath before walking up the steps. My heart hammered. I pressed my hand to the doorbell. It rang once, twice, and then silence. Seconds later, the door opened slowly. It was Lily. She froze when she saw me. Her eyes widened and her hand went to her chest. Emily. Her voice was soft, shocked. I swallowed hard. I am here. I made it. She blinked quickly, looking behind me as if to see if someone was following me or if this was some mistake. I did not know. Her voice trailed off. She turned slightly and whispered to someone behind her. She is here. I followed her gaze and saw Tyler standing near the stairs, his expression carefully neutral, but with a sharp edge in his eyes. He stepped forward slowly. Emily, he said, his voice calm but firm. This is unexpected. My chest tightened. Unexpected? You sent me messages, Tyler. You knew I was confused. Why did you not warn me? He did not answer immediately. His eyes flicked to Lily and then back to me. I am only trying to keep the day peaceful, he said. Peaceful. His choice of words felt like a threat. Like he thought I could ruin everything simply by existing. I felt a surge of anger rise inside me. How dare he decide what I could and could not do at my own sister's wedding? Lily finally stepped forward. Her hands shook slightly. Emily, I am sorry. I thought it would be easier if. Her words fell away, and I could see the truth behind them. She had been told to keep me away. She had been manipulated. I took a step closer to her. Easier? Easier for whom, Lily? Not for me. Not for us. You are hiding something. I can feel it. Her eyes filled with tears. I cannot explain everything yet. Please, not now. I clenched my fists, holding back the tremble of my fear and anger. Then we will find out soon. Because I am not leaving. Not this time. Tyler stepped slightly to the side, his jaw tight. He clearly did not expect me to refuse to be invisible. The air between us felt thick with tension, almost suffocating. I realized that this was not just about a wedding. This was about control, power, and secrets that had been kept for too long. I looked at Lily again. We will talk later. But first, I am here. You cannot erase me anymore. Her lips trembled as she nodded slowly. I could see guilt, fear, and hesitation in her expression. Someone had worked hard to separate us. Someone had tried to control everything. But now I was standing in the middle of their plans, and I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Hope, because I was not alone anymore. And for the first time in months, I realized that the game had changed. But even as I smiled faintly at Lily, a single thought pressed itself into my mind with sharp clarity. This wedding is not what it seems. And the truth my family has hidden is bigger than I ever imagined. The morning sun was bright, almost cruel, as I stepped onto the sprawling lawn of the estate. The air smelled of fresh flowers and cut grass, a typical wedding scene. But for me, every petal and every decoration felt like a trap. I could feel the eyes of everyone around me before anyone spoke. I had arrived uninvited, unwelcomed, yet impossible to ignore. Lily walked beside me slowly, her hand brushing against mine as if she wanted to hold me close but could not. Her wedding dress shimmered in the sunlight, delicate and beautiful, but it did nothing to hide the tension in her eyes. "Emily Tyler has been worried," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I swallowed my anger and shook my head. "Worried? Or trying to control me?" She looked away, her lips pressed together. "It is complicated. Everyone is complicated." I did not want to upset anyone. Not you, not them. I felt a rush of betrayal and confusion. My sister, my best friend, had let them push me out. She had followed their rules. I did not know if she even realized what she had done. But I would not confront her now. Not in front of Tyler, the guests, and my family. I needed to see the bigger picture first. The garden was buzzing with guests. People laughed and took photos, completely unaware of the storm that had just arrived in their midst. I recognized some distant relatives, and I recognized the polite smiles that hid judgment. They had all been briefed about me, I realized, even before I appeared. Every gaze felt like a reminder that I was supposed to feel guilty. My mother, Margaret, appeared then, moving gracefully toward us. Her expression was perfectly calm, but I could see the sharpness behind her eyes. "Emily," she said, voice soft but carrying authority, "I did not expect you so early." I met her gaze evenly. "You did not expect me because you did not book my ticket. You wanted me to miss everything." Her face did not falter. She tilted her head slightly, the small gesture I remembered from my childhood. "That is not true. You misunderstand, Emily. There were complications. You must understand. Complications." I clenched my fists at my sides. Every word from my mother felt carefully chosen to protect herself and Tyler. I wanted to shout, to throw my suitcase and tell her everything I felt, but I knew this would give her control. Silence was my weapon now. Tyler stepped forward, placing himself slightly in front of Lily. "Emily," he said, calm and measured, "please understand. This day is about Lily. I am asking you to respect that." Respect. His tone felt like an accusation. Like I had no right to even exist at this wedding. I took a deep breath. I respect Lily, but I do not respect anyone who tries to erase me from her life. And I am not leaving. A murmur ran through the small crowd of guests nearby. Some whispered behind their hands. Some turned quickly to stare. I realized then that everyone here had already been taught to expect trouble from me. My presence alone was a threat. Lily grabbed my hand gently. "Emily, do not make this harder than it already is, please." I wanted to scream at her, to tell her that she had already made it hard by believing them over me. But I forced myself to stay quiet. Anger burned behind my eyes, and I smiled faintly, a calm mask hiding the storm inside. Then the first betrayal revealed itself. My cousin Jessica, a girl who had always pretended to be sweet, stepped forward with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Emily," she said, voice dripping with false sympathy, "we did not expect you. I am surprised you even came. Mother said it might be difficult." Difficult. The word cut like a knife. I felt my chest tighten. They had all conspired together. Everyone I thought was neutral or friendly had been warned, prepared, or influenced. The betrayal was not one person's doing. It was a family strategy, carefully executed over months. Lily looked at me, guilt and fear in her eyes. "Emily, they told me things I thought were true." I shook my head, holding back tears. "Do not defend them yet. I need to see the full truth first." Suddenly, Tyler's hand touched my shoulder, lightly, almost casually. "Emily, please. I do not want any drama. This is a wedding, not a confrontation." I pulled back sharply, my voice low but full of intensity. "You already created drama by keeping me away. This entire wedding has been built on lies and secrets. I am here to see them." Margaret's lips tightened, and for a moment, I saw the smallest flicker of fear in her eyes. She had always believed that control would protect her. But I realized, standing there, that control alone could not erase me. Lily's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "Emily, do not ruin this for everyone." I shook my head. "You do not get to tell me that. You followed their rules. You let them erase me. Now I am here. And I will not be quiet." I looked around at the crowd. Guests were whispering. Eyes darted between my mother, Tyler, and me. The tension was electric, almost dangerous. I could feel my heart racing, and yet I knew something important had just happened. I had arrived. I had confronted the first layer of betrayal, but beneath it all, I knew this was only the beginning. Someone had spent months preparing this moment to exclude me. And now that I was here, fully visible and unafraid, I realized something terrifying. This wedding would not just reveal my family's betrayal. It would reveal their secrets. And I would be ready. The ceremony had not yet begun, but the air felt heavy with secrets. Guests moved around in polite chatter, their smiles sharp and careful. I stayed near Lily, watching her adjust her dress, her hands trembling slightly. She avoided looking at me directly, her eyes flicking to Tyler and then back to the ground. It was clear she was caught in the middle. I felt my anger simmer. How many lies has she been told? How many orders has she followed without question? Then I saw her. My mother, Margaret, standing near the floral arch, whispering to Jessica. Their faces were close, their smiles too tight. I could see the calculation behind their gestures. They were watching me, judging me, planning their next move. Every instinct in my body told me that this was bigger than a forgotten ticket. This was deliberate. I took a deep breath and walked closer to them, my heels clicking softly on the stone path. My mother looked up and smiled, the kind of smile that meant nothing. "Emily," she said, voice sweet but sharp at the edges, "I did not expect you so early." I stared at her, feeling every word of betrayal she had built over the past months. "Do not act surprised, Mother. You told everyone else I was coming. You planned this without me." Her eyes flickered, a brief moment of unease. I noticed it and savored it silently. Control had always been her weapon. But for the first time I realized she had miscalculated. Jessica stepped forward with a fake smile. "Emily, we were just talking about you. It is complicated. Complicated." The word had become their shield. I wanted to scream at them, to tear the mask from their faces, but I forced myself to stay calm. This was a game of patience now. I had arrived, visible, unafraid. That was my advantage. Then Lily whispered to me, her voice shaking. "Emily, I did not know they were going this far. They said things about you, things I thought were true." I felt a sharp pang of betrayal. My own sister had been fed lies. But the question burning in my mind was worse. Who had decided what lies she should believe? Who had twisted our family into this web? Before I could ask, Tyler approached with measured steps. His eyes were calm, but there was a hardness beneath them. "Emily," he said, voice smooth but firm, "you must understand. Lily cannot handle stress today. Please do not create problems." Problems, that was his word. As if my existence was a problem. I looked at him, my voice quiet but firm. "You already created problems by keeping me away. I am not here to follow orders. I am here to see the truth." He hesitated for a moment, his composure flickering. And then I saw it a subtle glance toward my mother and Jessica. They were all part of this. All of them had conspired to control me, to erase me, to make me powerless. Suddenly, I noticed something else. A folder lying on a small table near the reception. It had my name on it in neat handwriting. My heart raced. Slowly I walked toward it. I picked it up. Inside were documents, photographs, even letters. Letters from my mother. Letters from Tyler, all carefully hidden. And then I understood. This was no ordinary wedding. This was a setup. Every exclusion, every lie, every whispered word had been carefully planned. And now I held the proof. I felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Fear because the truth was darker than I had imagined. Exhilaration because I now had power. Power they did not expect me to have. I looked at Lily, her eyes wide and panicked. "Emily, what is that?" she whispered. I took a deep breath. "Lily, this is everything. Every secret. Every betrayal. And now it is time to see how far they are willing to go to keep it hidden." The wind shifted slightly, carrying the scent of flowers and tension together. Guests continued to mingle, unaware that a storm was about to break in their midst. And I realized, standing there with the folder in my hands, that nothing would ever be the same again. I felt a surge of determination. I would uncover everything. I would confront everyone. And I would not stop until justice had been served. The first shock was behind me. The real battle was only beginning. And then, a small voice inside me whispered the most important question. Who could I trust in this family anymore? The wedding hall was quieter now. The music had softened and conversations were scattered, almost hesitant. I could feel it, the shift in the air. People were noticing me in a way they had not before. Whispers traveled like a current across the room. They had expected me to be timid, silent, maybe even ashamed. They had been wrong. I stayed near Lily, who was trembling slightly, her hands clutching the edge of her dress. "Emily, are you sure you want to do this here?" she asked softly, her voice almost breaking. "The guests, they do not need to know everything." I shook my head. "Lily, they already know I am here. This is not about shocking them. This is about showing them the truth. The secrets they worked so hard to hide, everyone will see them now." Margaret appeared across the room, holding her glass with delicate fingers. Her calm, controlling demeanor was intact, but I could see the slightest quiver in her lips. She did not expect me to have arrived with the folder. She did not expect me to challenge her in front of witnesses. I felt a rush of satisfaction. "Emily," she said, voice smooth but tight, "I hope you are enjoying yourself. There is no need for trouble tonight." I looked at her directly, letting every word land like a strike. "Mother, there's no trouble. You created it. You and everyone else conspired to erase me from Lily's life. This wedding, this day, was built on lies and secrets. I am only here to reveal them." Margaret's eyes narrowed, searching for allies. Tyler was nearby, his calm composure flickering. I could see the tension in his shoulders. They had believed control was enough to keep me quiet. They had miscalculated. Then I reached into my bag and held the folder slightly above my waist, letting the room notice. I could see the reactions ripple across the crowd. Guests stopped mid-conversation. Eyes shifted. Whispers stopped, replaced with a tense silence. Jessica, my cousin, stepped forward with a polite but nervous smile. "Emily, we were just talking about you." "It is complicated." I stared at her, voice calm but edged with steel. "Complicated? No, Jessica. This is betrayal. You all planned this. You all decided I should be invisible. And now I have proof." The room seemed to shrink. I felt the weight of every eye on me. Every gesture, every whisper, every polite smile, now it carried fear. For the first time, I realized how much power I held. Lily's voice trembled. "Emily, please. Do not make this worse." I shook my head, feeling my pulse race. "I am not making it worse, Lily. I am making it right. And I need to know who among them can I trust. Who else was part of this?" Tyler took a careful step forward, his hands folded. "Emily, think carefully. If you expose everything now, there is no turning back. You will destroy relationships, families." I met his gaze evenly. "I do not care. They destroyed my relationship with you, with Lily, with everyone who mattered to me. Now it is my turn." The folder felt heavy in my hands. Each page contained a lie, each photograph a betrayal, each letter a plan against me. I could not turn back. And I would not. A quiet tension settled over the room. Guests sensed the coming storm. And I knew, in that moment, that everything was about to change. The first confrontation had begun. This was the moment before the storm. The calm before the explosion. I looked at Lily. Are you ready to see everything even if it hurts? Her hands trembled. I have to be. I cannot live in lies anymore. I nodded. Then we begin. If you were Emily, holding proof of family betrayal on a wedding night, would you confront them immediately or wait for the perfect moment to strike? The room was thick with tension. Guests glanced nervously at one another, sensing that something was about to happen. I could feel the weight of every gaze as I stood near Lily, the folder still in my hands. My pulse was racing, but I felt steady. For the first time, I was no longer the powerless sister. I was visible. I was dangerous. Margaret's eyes met mine from across the hall. Her calm, polished mask was slipping. She was calculating, trying to gauge my next move. Tyler was nearby, his jaw tight, his hands clenched. They had underestimated me for months, and now they were beginning to realize that control had shifted. I took a slow step forward, deliberately. Mother, Tyler, Jessica, do you want to explain this? I asked, holding up the folder. The letters, photographs, and messages inside were proof of their manipulation, of their conspiracy to keep me away from Lily. Jessica's face turned pale. Her smile, once sweet and calculated, faltered. Emily, it is not what you think. I shook my head, my voice calm but firm. Do not lie. I have everything. I know about the letters, the secret meetings, every whispered conversation. You all thought I would never see it. But I am here. And everyone else is going to see it too. Gasps rippled through the guests. Conversations froze. Eyes darted from Margaret to Tyler to Jessica and then to me. The tension in the room was electric. For the first time, I felt the thrill of power, the intoxicating rush of having control over the truth. Lily stepped forward, her hands trembling. Emily, what are you doing? Please do not destroy this night. I looked at her gently, my voice softer but unwavering. Lily, this is not about destruction. It is about justice. They tried to erase me, manipulate everything, and you believed them. That is not your fault. But they cannot continue to hide their actions. Margaret's voice was sharp now, her authority trying to reassert itself. Emily, you are ruining everything. Think of Lily. Think of the wedding. You do not need to expose every secret tonight. I smiled faintly, almost cruelly. Mother, you already ruined my part of this day. I am only giving the truth back to everyone who deserves to see it. Tyler's calm demeanor cracked. Emily, if you continue, you will hurt people, families. You will regret this. I shook my head. Regret? I regret believing you when you tried to erase me. The only thing I regret is trusting you all so long. That ends tonight. I opened the folder slowly, letting everyone see the first photographs. Tyler whispering to Jessica, Margaret handing letters in secret. The room went silent. Whispers stopped. Every guest now realized that this was not a small confrontation. This was the unraveling of the family's carefully constructed lies. Jessica tried to speak, but I held up my hand. Do not speak. You knew. All of you knew. And you thought hiding the truth would protect you. But the truth always finds a way. Margaret's hands shook slightly. She searched for support in a crowd, but I could see the cracks in their loyalty. Control she had thought would protect her. But control cannot withstand exposure. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Emily, I did not know everything. I swear. I only believed what they told me. I took her hands gently. I know, Lily. That is why I am not angry at you. But you must see it now. They planned this against me. They cannot erase me anymore. Tyler's expression turned from control to fear. Margaret's mask had fallen. Jessica was trembling. The first wave of exposure had begun, and the room was electric with suspense, disbelief, and tension. I closed the folder, letting the weight of the evidence settle on the room. This is only the beginning. The truth will come out. Every betrayal will have its consequence. And everyone will see. I looked at Lily, my voice quiet but full of determination. Are you ready for the full truth? She nodded, trembling. I have to be. I cannot live in lies anymore. The first confrontation had ended, but the real war was about to begin. Secrets, betrayals, and revenge were all now in motion. And I knew that no one in my family would ever be the same again. The room felt smaller now, suffocating almost. Every whisper, every glance, every frozen smile carried the weight of secrets. I could see it in their faces. Margaret, Tyler, Jessica, they were no longer confident. The control they had wielded for so long had evaporated. They were exposed, vulnerable, and I could feel the shift of power flowing toward me. Lily stayed close, her hand trembling as it brushed mine. Emily, what do we do now? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Everyone saw, everyone knows what happens next. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. Now we take it further. This is only the beginning. They thought hiding the truth would protect them, but the truth is stronger than any lie. Margaret stepped forward, trying to regain control. Her polished voice shook slightly, betraying the fear she tried to hide. Emily, you are making a scene. You do not need to humiliate everyone like this. I held the folder up slightly, letting the letters and photographs glint in the soft light. Humiliate? No, Mother. I am giving everyone the truth. The only humiliation is for those who tried to erase me, to manipulate me, to make me invisible. Tyler moved closer, his hands clenched at his sides. Emily, think carefully. You are destroying this family. Are you sure you want to go down this path? I looked at him, my voice calm, steady, and filled with fire. Yes, I am sure. Every word, every action, every secret you hid, it all comes out. You cannot stop what is already in motion. The first letters came next. Handwritten notes from Margaret instructing Lily to keep distance from me, texts from Tyler carefully crafted to manipulate my life, and photographs documenting meetings and secret conversations. I let each piece rest on the table for everyone to see. The room grew quiet, the guests frozen in disbelief. Jessica gasped, her hands trembling. Emily, you do not understand. I shook my head. I understand perfectly. You all conspired against me. You all wanted me erased. And now everyone sees what you are capable of. Lily's tears fell freely. Emily, I believed them. I trusted them over you. I held her hands firmly, my own voice softening. I know, Lily. That is why I am not angry at you. You were trapped in their lies. But now you must see the truth, no matter how painful. Margaret's face had turned pale. She looked for allies, for excuses, for anyone to defend her, but the room was quiet, tense. Guests were whispering, unsure where to look, unsure what to believe. For the first time, my mother's control was gone. Tyler's hands fell to his sides, his composure unraveling. Emily, you cannot do this. This will ruin everything. I smiled faintly, cold and steady. You ruined everything for me. Now it is my turn to restore balance. And I will not stop until every betrayal has been answered. I closed the folder slowly, letting the tension settle. The first strike of revenge had been delivered. The first layer of lies had been peeled back, leaving them exposed, vulnerable, and trembling. The thrill of power surged inside me, sharp and exhilarating. I looked at Lily, her eyes wide with fear and awe. Are you ready for what comes next? I asked quietly. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I have to be. I cannot live in lies anymore. I knew then that the war was only beginning. The first battle had been won, but the family fractures were deepening. Secrets still remained hidden, waiting to explode. And by the end of this night, nothing would ever be the same again. The room was silent now, but the air was charged, vibrating with every glance and whispered thought. Guests had stopped moving, frozen in the tension that Emily had unleashed. Every eye was on me. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum in my ears. This was no longer a wedding. It was a battlefield. I opened the folder again, letting my fingers brush over the letters, the photos, the texts. Each one told a story of control, of manipulation, of betrayal. Each one proved the truth I had known for months. And now everyone could see it. "Mother," I said, my voice calm, deliberate, cutting through the silence. "You did not just keep me away from Lily. You wrote letters telling her lies about me. You created rules to erase me from her life." Margaret's lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes darted around, searching for someone to shield her. But no one moved. Her control, her power, had finally failed. Tyler's expression hardened. "Emily, this is unnecessary. You're making accusations without proof." I raised the folder higher. "Proof? This is proof. Handwritten letters, secret messages, photographs, everything you tried to hide. And it ends tonight. I will not allow you to manipulate my life any longer." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw some relatives glance at each other, uncertain who to trust. Some had believed my mother's version of reality. Some had felt uneasy but stayed silent. Now everything was clear. Jessica stepped back, her smile gone. "Emily, please, we did not think." "You did not think," I interrupted sharply, "because you were part of it. Every whisper, every secret, every plan, you were there. You tried to erase me, just like they did." Lily's hands shook as she clutched mine. "Emily, please, I cannot. I am caught in the middle." I shook my head, my own hands steady. "No, Lily, you are not caught in the middle. You were deceived. But now you can see the truth. They manipulated us both. And now the world sees it too." Margaret's voice rose slightly, breaking her usual composure. "Emily, do you not care about Lily? About this day? You are tearing everything apart." "I care," I said, calm but unyielding. "I care about the truth. And about Lily. And the only way to honor her is to expose what you tried to hide." Tyler's jaw tightened. "You are going too far. There are things you do not understand. Family matters, delicate matters." I smiled faintly, cold and certain. "Family matters? No, these are matters of lies, betrayal, and manipulation. And everyone deserves to know the truth." Then, I placed the folder on the table in the center of the room, letting it fall open so all could see the contents. The photographs showed secret meetings. The letters revealed instructions to isolate me. The text documented deliberate manipulation. The guests leaned in, eyes widening, whispers spreading like wildfire. Margaret's face turned pale, her control slipping completely. Tyler's hands trembled slightly. Jessica was frozen, unable to speak. And through it all, Lily's tears flowed freely. I turned to the room, my voice louder now, resonant, commanding. "This is not just about me. This is about the truth. About every betrayal you tried to hide. And now it ends here. No more lies. No more manipulation. No more invisibility." The room was silent, every guest absorbing the gravity of the revelations. I saw judgment in their eyes. Some were angry, some shocked, some fearful. The cracks in the family's armor were visible for all to see, and in that moment, I knew something crucial. The power had shifted. I looked at Lily, her eyes shining with tears and newfound clarity. "Are you ready, Lily? Ready to face the rest of it?" She nodded, trembling but resolute. "I have to. I cannot live in lies anymore. Not with them, not with anyone." I felt the surge of determination, of righteous anger, of vindication. The first wave of revenge had shattered the facade. But the deepest betrayals, the darkest secrets were still hidden. And I knew tonight, before it ended, every truth would surface. Every consequence would unfold. The war was far from over. But the storm had begun. The room was thick with tension. But this time it felt different, charged not just with fear, but with anticipation. Everyone knew the first layer of betrayal. Everyone had seen the evidence. But beneath that, the deepest secrets still lingered, like shadows waiting to be pulled into the light. Tonight, it would all end. I took a slow breath, letting my eyes sweep over the faces before me, Margaret, pale and rigid. Tyler, tight-lipped but uneasy. Jessica, trembling and silent. And Lily, her hands clutching mine, courage growing with each heartbeat. "This ends now," I said, my voice steady, carrying authority. "No more lies. No more manipulation. No more secrets. Everyone here deserves to know the truth about what has been done and why." Margaret opened her mouth, likely to protest, but I raised a hand. "No excuses. Not tonight." I opened the folder again, revealing a set of documents I had kept for the climax letters that exposed years of intentional manipulation, financial secrecy, and the hidden alliances they had formed to control my life. I laid them on the table deliberately, letting the room take it in. Tyler stepped forward, tension radiating off him. "Emily, you do not understand the consequences of this. These secrets, some things are better left hidden." I met his gaze unwavering. "Better left hidden? You have spent years hiding everything from me. From Lily, from everyone. And now the consequences are yours, not mine." Margaret's voice cracked. "Emily, you think you are right. But families survive because of trust, because of discretion." "Trust?" I cut in sharply. "Trust cannot exist when lies control every decision. You manipulated, excluded, and erased. That is not family. That is tyranny." I picked up the letters one by one, reading aloud, ensuring every guest heard the truth. How Margaret had written to Lily to create distance. How Tyler had schemed to isolate me. How Jessica had knowingly supported every lie. Every revelation landed like a hammer, shaking the carefully constructed facade of perfection. The guests murmured, shocked, and incredulous. Some faces were full of judgment. Some glances were confused as they had only seen the family's polished image. And through it all, Lily's eyes never left mine, wide with tears, a mixture of sorrow and relief. "I believed them," she whispered. "I thought I was protecting everyone. But now I see it." I held her hands firmly. "It is not your fault, Lily. You were deceived. You are free now because the truth is here." Margaret's hands shook as she glanced around. Her allies had vanished. Even the guests looked at her with questioning eyes. The control she had wielded for decades was gone. Tyler's jaw tightened. Jessica looked down, shame overtaking fear. "I have lived in the shadows of your decisions long enough," I said, voice rising, filled with authority and clarity. "Tonight I take my life back. I reclaim my place, not just with Lily, but with the truth." Then came the final revelation. A set of documents hidden from even Lily, proof of financial manipulation, secret letters to distant relatives spreading lies about me, and a confession from an unknown family member who had tried to protect me silently. I let them fall into the open. The room gasped collectively. Margaret's face went pale, Tyler's composure broke entirely, and Jessica's trembling became visible to all. The full depth of betrayal lay bare. No one could ignore it now. Lily's tears fell freely. "Emily, I am so sorry. I should have known better. I should have fought for you sooner." I smiled faintly, a mixture of relief, triumph, and love. "You were trapped. So was I, but now we are free." Margaret turned to leave, her authority shattered. Tyler followed, his hands shaking. Jessica slunk back, humiliated and defeated. And in that moment, the room felt lighter. The guests, once caught in tension and whispers, now absorbed the truth, understanding the courage it took to reveal it. I looked at Lily, her dress wrinkled, her face tear-streaked, but shining with clarity. "This is our life now. Honest, unafraid, and unbroken." She hugged me tightly. "I will never let them manipulate us again." I hugged her back, the folder forgotten on the table. The power, the fear, the years of being silenced, it all faded in that embrace. Outside, the Texas sky was turning a soft orange, the sun setting gently over the estate. I realized something profound. The war was over. The first battles had been fought with courage, the secrets laid bare. And now the future was ours to rebuild, not under control, not under lies, but under truth. I looked back at the room one last time. Some faces were lost, some were changed forever, but the chains of manipulation were broken. I had reclaimed my voice, my place, my life, and for the first time in years, I felt completely, unshakably free. Weeks had passed since the wedding, yet the echoes of that night lingered in every conversation, every glance. Margaret, Tyler, and Jessica had retreated into their fractured worlds, forced to reckon with the truth they had long hidden. Lily and I had spent hours talking, laughing, crying, and rebuilding a bond that no manipulation could sever. The air between us was lighter now, filled with trust and honesty. I had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to face it head-on, and the freedom I felt now was intoxicating. Standing together in the quiet of our shared life, I realized that the past, with all its betrayals, no longer held power over us. The future was ours, unwritten and unafraid, and for the first time, I could truly say I was home.